welcome to Rooted in Yad, where I talk about what it's really like living in Jamaica so that you can know what to expect and how to thrive if you're planning to make the move here. And today I have a very interesting interview for you. This interview, I'm interviewing someone today about creating community in Jamaica. For those of you who have kind of kept up with my channel, I think last year, interview Monique from Kingston about creating community in Jamaica, but I feel like this interview is different because like Monique is from Jamaica, right? The person I'm interviewing is not. They've had to come here and build community, and a lot of you, when you come to Jamaica, are going to be in that situation. So I kind of wanted to get that perspective from an expat point of view. So today I'm going to be interviewing William. William, feel free to tell us a little bit about yourself, like how long you've been living in Jamaica, maybe like what brought you here, just stuff like that.
All right, yes. How are you doing, Misha? You good?
I'm good.
Excellent. All right, so yeah, I'm William. I came here in 2009, March 2009, so almost like 17 years ago. Um, I initially came for about 3 weeks. I was visiting a girl, which is often the case. So I hear, I don't know, I can only speak for myself, but I hear that a lot of people, generally male, female, come to Jamaica and fall in love with Jamaica or Jamaicans.
Guilty.
So yeah, but I'm from Manchester initially, originally from Manchester or just outside of Manchester in the north of England. Um, and I came here for a vacation um, to see this young lady at the time. We're both not so young anymore. Um, and I slotted in to a temporary business position, I guess, creative position, doing photography, doing events, doing social media. Um, and it was something that I naturally was good at, but I'd always had pretty boring jobs in the UK. I'd left school at 16. I didn't really get any GCSEs. I was in minimum wage jobs. I was just kind of making my way in the UK in my early 20s. I was 24 when I came to Jamaica. Um, and before that, like I say, working in factories, working in warehouses, call centers. I did face-to-face sales, online sales, all kind of different jobs, and not really doing much that excited me. And then I came here, as I say, for a vacation um, with a camera, was thrown into doing these events with my then girlfriend. We're not together now, by the way. We didn't get married and have kids and all of that. It's just to not keep you in suspense with that. There's no like big beautiful romantic story or anything like that. Like we're not together anymore. Um, just to break the tension, you know. But we were both in the creative industry, and I was working with brands like Pepsi and Red Stripe and Grace Kennedy and all these big brands. Some big brands in Jamaica, but big international brands as well. And I was thrown into these different parties, different corporate events, and I was like, wow, like this is me. Like this fits me. This fits me better than doing telesales and all of these crappy jobs that I was doing in the UK. And it came to the time where I had to go back to the UK. And I got back to the UK and I was like, why? Like the weather miserable, the people are miserable, I'm miserable. Like we just feel our way about it. Like as soon as I felt like the heavy cloud of England misery on top of me, and I say, yo, I need to come back to Jamaica. I need to come back to Jamaica. Like I need to ASAP. So I made a plan. I got like 2 part-time jobs and I was doing a couple other side hustles. So I basically had like 4 streams of income. Um, and between the end of March 2009 to the beginning of September 2009, that same year, I saved up some money. I came back, and that is pretty much how this whole story, the continuation of this story to this day began. I came here, fell in love with the culture, fell in love with a girl, felt at home, felt comfortable with it, saved up some money, came back, and kind of didn't really leave. I mean, I've left for a period of time between then and now, but basically, yeah, I kind of just came here and didn't go back to the UK. I was going to say didn't go home, but the UK was never home, if I'm honest. Here has always been home. So yeah, that's how it started.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of expats can probably relate to that because there are a lot of people who have just they come to Jamaica and they visit, and Jamaica just something about Jamaica just like just goes like this to their heart, just like captures them. If it's not a person, then it's just
It's
Jamaica
addictive.
itself, or
It's
both.
addictive. It's an addictive culture. It is. I mean, it's not for everybody. I think, nothing is for everybody. There's always going to be people that come here and, something don't fit or something not right. And again, it's perception. Everything is objective. I know people that have come here as tourists, and they'll say something like, Jamaicans are really rude. And I'll be like, them not rude, them just straightforward and it brash. And it's very just like to the point. It's like they're just gonna say what's on their mind. And in other cultures, that might come across as rudeness. It's genuinely not rudeness. It's just like they don't really have time or not making time to start to think about how to soften something. It's just like it can come across harsh sometimes. And if you're someone that is very, very sensitive, Jamaica probably not for you. You have to have a thick skin to live in Jamaica. You have to have a thick skin to even visit Jamaica. Never mind live here.
Yeah, or I mean, I guess eventually, if you don't have a thick skin, after you stay here for a while, the skin will get thicker.
Yeah, man.
It will get thicker. It has to. It
It
has to.
has to. Yeah, man. It can start out like tissue paper and then turn into leather. It can.
Yeah.
It really can. Jamaica will Jamaica will condition you. And I've found that, people who've asked me, what's it like to live in Jamaica? Is it somewhere you would recommend? I cannot give a one size fits all approach for that. It's just not for everyone. Um, there are things that are extremely frustrating about living in Jamaica, but there are things that are extremely wonderful about living in Jamaica. And it's like anywhere, there's good and there's bad. What I will say is, I find that there are a lot of big misconceptions about Jamaica, misunderstandings. One example I can think of that I actually made a TikTok video about this a couple of years ago are the travel advisories that are sent out by countries like the US, Canada, European countries also. Don't go here, don't go there, like places to stay away from, and it'll say like Montego Bay, and I'm like, and I mean, you can vouch for that. Like, you're right, you're over there. I'm in Kingston, right? So like, Kingston generally, like they'll say like avoid Kingston, and I'm like, it's a whole city. Like, nobody's gonna come here and like go, oh, let me go on vacation to the ghetto. No one's doing that. That's crazy. Like, and the thing is like as a tourist, you have to be vigilant wherever you go. You have to be. That's just common sense. And if you conduct yourself with common sense in Jamaica, you'll be fine. And as a tourist, the most that's ever going to happen to you as a tourist is maybe somebody's going to ask you 3 times to buy something from them, and you're going to get a little bit annoyed after the second one. And you might have to tell them to like, please leave me alone. That's as far as it's going to go. Living here, it depends on your background. If you can blend in visually like yourself, you blend in more visually than I do, because I am in a very small minority. There are white Jamaican people born and bred in Jamaica and go back generations as white Jamaicans. There are even settlements like Germantown. There's places in Westmoreland, places in St. Elizabeth that have big white populations. But I am generally viewed as a tourist until somebody hears me speak, or they see the way that I conduct myself and they sort of like, maybe he's been here for a while, and they would be right. Or they will assume that I am maybe from one of those German settlements or Irish settlements. But it's definitely something that, coming to Jamaica as a tourist is very different than coming to Jamaica as someone that wants to settle permanently in Jamaica. Because as a tourist, you're not going to see the bureaucracy. You're not going to see the red tape. You're not going to see those kind of things where, I need to go get a TRN. Like a tourist is not coming here and getting a TRN. You don't need to do that. So you're never going to see Constant Spring Tax Office. You're never going to see it. That's one of the main things, the first things you're going to do if you're coming here and you want to settle in Jamaica. You need to get that TRN figured out, and you need to get a bank account. And you and I both know these things that would in Canada or in the UK take like 10, 15, 20 minutes. You can do something online, you go to the place, and I'm like, yeah, man, it right there, so and just give it to you. Here, that is going to take you a week or longer. And it's gonna be jump through this hoop, jump through that hoop, go and speak to her, go speak to him, and you're like, why? But this is the price you pay for entry into the theme park. Because Jamaica is one big amusement park. It is. It's a fairground. To me, that's the way I see it. That's the cost of the ticket to get into the fairground. We live in a fairground. It's a beautiful paradise. I'm looking right out the window right now, and I can see beautiful trees. I can see beautiful birds. The sun is shining, even though it's a little bit cold right now. That's a blessing. I can't get that in England. So, this is the price we pay.
Yeah. Yeah, you're very right. And I talk about that on my channel as well. So I appreciate someone else coming on the channel and also saying the same thing. So it's not like, oh, I'm being dramatic. It's like, no, actually I'm being serious. These are the things that you have to prepare for.
Yeah.
These are things that you have to think about. So that, when you come here, you don't get frustrated. Like when I moved to Jamaica the first time, I didn't know about I didn't know about nothing. Just my background's Jamaican, so I'm like, oh, I know Jamaica, and I visited Jamaica a few times. I know Jamaica. I didn't know anything. And I learned when I had to go to the tax office and when I had to go to the bank and all of this. And after a couple years, I was like, get me out of here. But then, long run, short catch, I came right back. So and now you
Yeah,
can't take me out.
that feeling that you got every couple of years, I feel like I have that 10 times a day. I'll be honest. One of the things that you discussed with me before we did this was that you wanted transparency, honesty, and sometimes honesty is brutal. We're not trying to sell a product here. This is, if somebody wants to come here, they need to know what to expect. And it's not an easy place to live. It's not. But again, it's subjective. What is easy to someone is difficult to someone else. It's one of those things I'll be out on the road and I'll be like, boy, I can't stand Jamaica sometimes, I want to just fly out, I want to left, gone. And then 5 minutes later, I'm like, boy, I love my country, I love it. I love it so much. I'm so passionate about it. I'm, patriotic. And then 5 minutes later, again, I feel like I want to leave and go somewhere else. It's just, Jamaica is like this. It's a fairground ride. This is an amusement park. It really is. It's a real life amusement park.
Yeah, you're so right. And I'm sure people listening are going to be so appreciative of, you being so transparent with that. Or at least someone else, being as transparent with that. So I think just to move on, with the questions, although we've gotten to you've talked about some juicy stuff. I really appreciate that. I think the next question I want to ask you is, when you first arrived, I know, you said you were here and you were kind of seeing someone the first time, but did you feel lonely or disconnected when you had first arrived at all? I know you kind of said you were kind of pretty much after that you're popping into things, going to parties, doing this and that for different brands, but did you feel lonely or disconnected? I feel like that can happen. At the same time, I feel like Jamaicans are also very, very friendly. They're very, very friendly as just an expat, as someone, and visibly someone who's different than most of the population here. Did you feel lonely or disconnected?
I had, as you said, I had a girlfriend at the time. Um, I had another friend here, and the three of us shared an apartment. So there were me and two women in this apartment, and the two of them were very, very different personalities, but both very in the culture in different ways. And that kind of forced me into the culture as well. Like I say, I was headfirst into the parties and the corporate events and stuff like that. So I was always around a lot of people, and I was around a lot of the who's who as well. Like Jamaica is, it's such a small place, and there's a big concentration of, I guess you would call it celebrity. Um, but Jamaicans are too proud to ever give anybody their props as a celebrity. There's nobody here asking for autographs. Like that just doesn't happen. It's just like the most you gonna get from somebody on the street. I could see, Shelly Ann Fraser Price or Usain or Sean Paul right now, and the most they're gonna get from me or anybody else is like, "Yo, I got my general." That's it. That's it. They're not gonna. No one's flocking to them for like pictures and autographs. We don't have that kind of culture because nobody is better than anybody else in this society. Nobody ever wants you to believe that you're better than anybody else. But I was around a lot of different people like that from the very start, and it was only lonely once the noise ended and the quiet began. And I was like, oh, like I really am alone here, like other than my girlfriend and my friend. I was making some friends, but there were a lot of acquaintances being made. So it was, it's professional acquaintances. It didn't take me long to make friends, but they were more friends that I'd met professionally. I will be honest with you, I was not exposed to an expat community. I wasn't exposed to other British people in Jamaica. I wasn't, and I know a lot of Brits here now in 2026. When they come here, they're automatically thrown into a British community with other Brits, and they're made to feel comfortable. That was just never for me. That British community was there, but it's not a one size fits all approach for everyone. For me, I wanted to be exposed to Jamaican culture. I didn't want to be exposed to British culture. British culture is in Britain. I've lived it my whole life, my whole 24 years alive. I wanted to come here and experience Jamaica. So why am I going to be around people that speak like me, that look like me, that act like me? There's no point. I'm not experiencing anything then. So that's not to say that people shouldn't come here and do that, but I think you have to have a controlled measure of how much of that exposure or lack of exposure you're going to have, because it's one thing to be comfortable in a community, but then you get too comfortable in that community and you're missing out on everything else that's going on. So when I came here, I wasn't driving. I would catch the bus, I would take regular taxi. I was out there in the streets. I still am. Every day I'm out there in the streets and I love it. I love it because it's vibes. But then there are other times where I'm like, boy, I'm exhausted, man. I just want to crawl into bed right now. It's tiring. Like just going and doing one basic thing sometimes can take up a whole day of energy, and you just like, Jaja, yo, like bedtime. I'm done. Like I'm done. You know. But yeah, like I wouldn't say that I really felt alone until the lights went off and the quiet came. But that was so rare for me because I was working 15, 16, 17-hour days sometimes, most of the time. I would go to 4, 5, 6 events in one day. I could be at Floor Digicel at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then at 6 o'clock at night, I could be in Westmoreland for a party, and there's water and foam being thrown everywhere, and I'd have like 6 different wristbands on from all these different events that I'd gone through out the day. And I'd be like, boy, my life now is so different than it was, like a few months ago. And I just settled into it. But I've always been a bit of a culture vulture like that. So it was easy for me. I'm not going to say it was difficult for me to settle in. It wasn't. It was easy. But that's not to say it would be easy for the next man or the next woman to do that.
But yeah, that I mean, and what you're saying makes a lot of sense. So then, what I'm thinking, because the next question I had for you was like, in terms of how you initially started meeting people, because for like people watching, right, I kind of want to help give them some ideas of like how to start meeting people. In your case, I'm thinking it was mostly the work you were doing. I don't know if it's, you know, if there were other ways you also started meeting people, if maybe if sometime when you went to, because I feel like sometimes it can kind of be easy to meet people if you frequent a place a lot. Like if you go to the same grocery store or the same market place, or you take a taxi with the same people.
Mm.
Eventually, you might start to chat because, as I said, Jamaicans are friendly. They like to chat. They like to, So
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know if there's a if it's like mainly like it was work, or like are there other ways you started meeting people? Church, people introducing you to other people, neighbors.
no. I mean, definitely there is a sense of community in Jamaica that applies to just everyone. No, Jamaica can be. Let me and I'm not even gonna tread lightly around this. I'm gonna say it as it is because true me are Jamaican as well. Someone just talk when I want to talk, and you know me by now. I I am very passionate when I describe the reality of Jamaica. Jamaica is not a racist country at all. It doesn't matter about race, but Jamaica can be quite classist at times. And the class is measured through different people's perception. It can be measured through skin color, it can be measured through the car you drive, the house you live in, the area you live in, the supermarket that you shop at, all different kinds of things. But those perceptions that are often misconceptions can be thrown to one side very, very easily in Jamaica if you're willing to communicate. And what I mean by that is I I don't get upset when I go on the street and somebody assumes that I am foreign, rich, like my skin color automatically means that I must have all of this money that I can just like give to everyone all the time. Just not the case. I'm very working class, like quite proudly working class as well. Come from a very working class area of the UK. Single parent household, no father, like these are things that have shaped my reality. They've shaped who I am. Now, upon first seeing me in the street, you're never going to know anything like that about me because we haven't had a conversation yet. So I understand why people have judgments based on a visual. Now, I can go into a place like Coronation Market, downtown Kingston, and people are going to assume, or they used to, nowadays, not so much because everybody down there knows me now. But like back in the day, the assumption would be made that you have money, even, someone like yourself, as soon as you open your mouth, like, I'm money that man. You're a tourist, you're a foreigner. So I'm money that. It's not about black or white or brown, it's just not. It's about foreign, you know, and foreign mean money.
Yeah.
So I would deal with people, and initially I would make the effort to try and speak some patois, which looking back at the time, I'll be like, boy, that must have sounded very cringe. Like it must have sounded so terrible. Because I hate it. Trust me, like I hate it when, when people when people come here and they're like, yeah man, Iron Man, Wagwan with General, and I'll be like, bro, like stop, 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 stop. Please. We need to nobody says Iron Man. People don't talk like that. That's just not normal. But Jamaicans will Jamaicans will appreciate you making an effort. They will absolutely appreciate that. And that is how you can build community with someone in a simpler situation as a vendor who is selling pumpkin and yam and banana and things like that. And if they see that you treat them in the same way you would treat anybody else, they will treat you in that same way. They will respect that. And many, many times I have made friends, genuine friends who I am friends with to this day in situations like down by Coronation Market, and them say, yo, come eat with us sometimes. Come play dominoes with us sometimes. Whatever it is, come drink our red stripe. They want to invite you into their space, and that is how community is built. Just by having a constant communication. Now, if you're separating yourself from that, which I will say some expats do that, they might already have money when they come to Jamaica. And if you already got money when you come to Jamaica and you live in Uptown Kingston and you have a helper and you give your helper a water cash and go send them go downtown for buy the groceries and do all your cooking, you're not exposed to anything. So how do you expect to settle in? How do you expect to make community outside of what is already your community? And that can breed, in my opinion, all of this is just my opinion. So like, I'm not speaking for everyone,
Hmm.
but in my experience, if you're only exposed to that, that can breed somewhat of an elitist mentality. And I am just a normal working class guy, so I appreciate normal working class people. And let me tell you something about Jamaica is 95 to 99% of this country is just normal working class people. It is. There's only a very small percentage of people that are like up there with the money, like the real money, the banker money, them kind of money. So it's important that you do expose yourself to quote unquote regular everyday people and just talk to them, be open with them. You cannot be shy in Jamaica. It's one thing you cannot be in Jamaica. You have to be out there. You have to, even if you're not confident, trust me, even if you're not confident. Now, me, pretty confident going anywhere. Like, I don't care. Just, I just honesty, like where I come from, you had to be kind of like out there and brash and confident anyway, which is why the culture here suits me so much because it's very similar to where I come from in a lot of ways. You have to be tough. You have to be outspoken. And if you're not confident, you have to appear confident. You have to. And Jamaica is not a country for the faint-hearted. Like you've got to say things with your chest. You have to say things with your chest and believe in what you're saying. And Jamaicans will look at that. And even if they're clocking it and they don't say something, trust me, they're clocking it and they're registering it and they'll remember next time them say, yo, I rate all the brother there carry himself. I rate all the little sister in there carry herself. That's what they do. And that is how you build community.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that perspective. This is why I thought it was so important to talk with someone else who is an expat about their experience because, these are things that I feel like people coming here need to hear. Like, hey, don't just, and it's not even just Jamaica, because there's a lot of people moving out of, their country of origin to other countries now, right? The world is a lot bigger now.
Yeah.
And when they do that, there is a lot of, I have heard and seen a lot of, the expats, they go into these countries and then they just stay in their little expat bubble. And they don't kind of go out and meet people. They don't try and, speak the language that everyone else, 90% of the people there are speaking or how they're speaking it. They don't really try and do that. They don't really try and mix and mingle. So I think it was so important. So I really appreciate you sharing that perspective. I think it's so important for people to hear. Um, there was another question I wanted to ask. I think off of that, but I don't think I remember. But if I remember, I will come back to it. But something I am interested in is if, well, I think maybe you kind of touched on this. What I wanted
Mhm.
to ask is if there are things you had to unlearn from where you're from in order to build real relationships here. Now, you touched a little bit on this when you kind of talked about being outgoing, although you yourself are kind of an outgoing person. You're talking about, I know for me, when you talked about, you can't really be shy. I don't know if I'm really shy, but I'm definitely an introvert. But like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because like people will just come up to you and chat. And even like the shy people, they have their moments where they cannot be shy. The shy Jamaicans, there are shy Jamaicans. My husband is a shy Jamaican. His family, they're very shy. Like they don't really like too much crowd. But I mean, I wouldn't have known my husband was shy when we first met because he had the confidence of like, I don't know, like a bull. Like I was like, whoa, what is this? I'm not used to men talking to me like this. What, like that's one thing a Jamaican person's gonna have. A Jamaican man's gonna have confidence, but Jamaican people in general are gonna have confidence. I don't think that's a bad thing, but just in terms of if there's anything else, maybe you felt like you had to unlearn in order to build real relationships here. I don't know if there's anything like at the top of mind, maybe, or
Mm.
maybe something. I don't know if necessarily maybe unlearn or just also keep in mind in order to build real relationships here.
it's a really interesting question that I wish I had a really interesting answer for, and I don't feel like I do. I feel like there was a lot I needed to learn, but unlearning things, I think I more just adapted the things I already knew and applied them to things that need to be addressed in Jamaica and maybe use them as a foundation to build upon. Um, Unlearning things.
Like, I don't know if I know, for example, some expats have talked about how they've kind of had to unlearn some individualism when they move to other countries because, for example, if they're coming from a Western country, let's say Canada or the US, which are, I'm not sure about the UK because I've never been there, but I know for certain Canada and the US are quite individualistic. They've had, when they move to other countries, they've kind of had to unlearn that. They've kind of had to learn the importance of community and that, like, actually you can't really come here and do things on your own like that. Like, it's a lot more difficult to just do everything on your own. You have to build community
That's true.
to thrive and to, you know, build a successful life, because it's not the same as wherever, like, moving to that country, Jamaica or anywhere else, it's not the same as where you're coming from.
No, it's not. It's not at all. I think, this ties into something that I did want to talk about, which we may as well talk about it now because the avenue is kind of naturally opened up for it. But, as it relates to like culture shocks and things like that, Jamaica, again, and I shouldn't feel like I have to add in disclaimers or preambles or justifications or whatever, because this is just how it is. I just sometimes think that people might not be prepared for how blunt I can be. I can just be really blunt sometimes. But Jamaica lacks infrastructure. It lacks structure generally. It really does, and that is something that you have to, I guess, have to unlearn that from, depending on which country you come from. Canada, I know, the US as well, and especially the UK. I mean, the UK is so disciplined, so disciplined. European cultures generally are. I mean, like Sweden, Scandinavian countries, Sweden, Denmark, countries like, they are super disciplined. Everything has a structure and a process. In Jamaica, it's not just about learning that things work through relationships, not processes. It's about unlearning that things don't work through processes like they do probably in your home country. So here it's like you have to have contacts, you have to have links for everything. And when I say everything, I mean literally everything. You have to, if you're not driving when you come here, you're gonna have to make a link with a taxi man, a regular taxi man, or 5 different regular taxi man, because one taxi man is not going to be enough, because he's going to let you down, I guarantee it, and you're going to learn the hard way, because he's just going to not bother turning up one day, and him not communicate nothing to you, him not getting a phone call, he's not going to give you like some kind of, oh, I'm really sorry, I cannot make it at this particular time, him just not going to turn up. So you're going to have 4, 5, 6 taxi man. It's a contact at the tax office, a contact at the bank, if you want to get through quickly in Jamaica, you need a contact, you need a link. And that is also about relationship building. They might not be someone that you would invite round for dinner. They might not be someone who they're going to invite you to the christening of their firstborn child. But they're still relationships and acquaintanceships that you need. And you can sometimes build community out of those, because Jamaica is so small. So you might make a link one day with your brethren that, he knows the guy who you buy meat from. Like, he's maybe supplying you with beef and pork and chicken or whatever. Something like, because again, you need a link for that too. You need a link. And you have a conversation, and somebody else comes up in conversation and he says, oh, you know him. I'm a brethren that is Jamaica. Everybody know each other in Jamaica. So you can build community in that way too. Community, to me, is not necessarily having a bunch of best friends that you go out and party with, or, you're going to invite them to your wedding. It's that community is built through people who you can do something for them and they will do something for you in return. Jamaica is I often refer to Jamaica as a black market society. It's a bartering system in Jamaica. I have something of value, you have something of value, and let's have a trade off. And we definitely saw this more post hurricane, like a couple days after, especially. And when I say hurricane, you know I'm referring to Hurricane Melissa, the more recent one, because we've had a good number of them, you know. I mean, I think Melissa was maybe like my fifth or sixth hurricane experience in Jamaica, and by far the worst one as well. Even though I wasn't personally massively affected, but a lot of people were, as we know. Um, but we saw how cash is king in Jamaica. If if the electric is gone, if the light is gone, there's nothing to power anything. The banking system is down. Every phones are down. Everything is down, and it showed just how much of a black market society Jamaica is. We rely on cash. Cash is king, and community really came together during that time and showed just how strong those bonds really are. And I think that's a good example of just generally how important community is in Jamaica, and how common it is really. You don't have to, I wouldn't say you have to put in any special effort to make the links in Jamaica. You just have to put yourself out there a little bit. And like I say, it is about confidence. A lot of it's about confidence. If you're not naturally a confident person, fake it. Fake it till you make it. I always was. So it's like I'm lucky that I went through, I had a pretty good high school experience. When I say pretty good, I mean, like I said to you earlier on, I got really bad exam results. Like I was not good at school, but I enjoyed school because like I was popular, like I enjoyed school. That was all school was to me. It was like, all right, as long as I get to play football and the girls like me, that's all I care about. So that to me, that built my confidence as a 16-year old, as a 12-year old, you know, that built my confidence. It shapes who you are. Some people have experiences in life where they don't get, confidence from an early age. And if you are someone that is not necessarily outgoing and confident, then just pretend to be. Like that's really all it is. You can act because Jamaica is a pantomime, These streets are a pantomime. A lot of acting going on. A lot of acting going on.
And I think that's so important. There's a YouTuber uh, who, I mean, her channel is for black women, in particular black American women, but black women in general. That's her audience. That's who she speaks to. But she always
Mm.
says, in a different place, you could be a different person. In a different place, you can
Ah,
be a different person. Like she always says that, and I'm like, like you're right, because she was like, like in your where you come from, people know you a certain way, but when you go somewhere else, you really don't have to be that way. No one knows you. You can test out like different. If you want to test out a different personality and see how you like yourself in that personality,
that's so
you can
true.
do that. In a different place, you can be a different person, and Jamaica is a great place to be more outgoing and be more community minded.
That's really relevant. I think that's absolutely seamless based on what I just said going into that because for real, like when I came here, I definitely felt like in a sense I could reinvent myself. Not that I needed to, but just because I wanted to. And as I say, looking back now, I'll be like, I look back at how I must have, in my memory, I mean, memories fade and sometimes they're not exactly as you remember or exactly as it was. But I look back at the memories of how I must have conducted myself when I first came here. And yeah, it was probably really cringe. I mean, I don't think I ever said Irie man to anybody. Like, I don't think I was at that level of cringe. But I definitely it didn't come naturally to me to to speak patois or to appear a certain way, and eventually it just kind of became part of who I was. No, that wasn't me. Yes, there is an element of fake it till you make it. There is an element of that, but it's about being in an environment and about how your personality shapes. And we're all a product of our environment to a certain extent. And I think there was subconsciously, definitely not consciously at the time. As I say, I was 24 when I first came here. um, there was an element subconsciously of I can maybe not reinvent myself in Jamaica, but I can invent myself in Jamaica because I was so young anyway. I didn't even know who I was at 24. You know, I'm
Mm-hmm.
42 now, just, and I'm still figuring out who I am. You know, when people ask me, you know, like where do you come from, and I'll be like, you know, I come from Manchester, um, and they don't believe me, and they want to know where the accent went. And to me, I sound the same as I did when I was 14 years old or 7 years old. I don't sound any different because I just sound like me. But to them, I must sound completely different. When I speak to my family back in the UK, I'm like, oh wow, like we do sound completely different. Like sometimes I don't even understand them. And the thing is, I'm talking to you now I'm very conscious of how I sound right now because I want to sound measured. I want to sound like I'm speaking proper English. When I go out there and I'm on the bus or I'm in a supermarket, it's straight patois. You're not, as an outsider, you probably wouldn't even understand what I'm saying. But like right now, I'm speaking English. I don't know what my accent is. And that is a sense of me falling into an identity that I wasn't fully aware of what that identity was. So I think we're all, if we're humble, we're all kind of figuring out who we are as life goes on. You know, you're a little bit younger than me, but I'm sure that you would be able to say, you know, you're still figuring out who Misha is, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Jamaica is definitely somewhere where you can. It's a blank canvas. It's a blank canvas in a lot of ways, and there are a lot of pretty different colored paints to choose from in Jamaica. If you want to paint a pretty picture, this is a country you can do it in for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and even going back to what you're saying about community, like, that's another thing I wanted to say. Like, it's not. I feel like it's not. I really appreciate that you brought up that in terms of building community, it doesn't have to be like, the type of relationship where they'll invite you to their firstborn's christening. It's just, you just treat people with respect. You treat people as another. You relate to them as another human. Like I could say, in the previous place I lived in, I think I built community with my neighbors. I don't remember their names. I remember one of their names. I'd call one like Auntie, and she'd know I'm referring to her. And then there's one who is Miss Sharon, and then eventually, like, we find out, oh, like, I had a wedding to go to, and because I'm a neighbor, Miss Sharon, I didn't really talk to her. All I did was kind of like say, hey, how are you? Wave to her, and that's pretty much it. And then I had a wedding to go to. I needed
Mhm.
my dress. The dress I got was a little too big. I needed it tightened just a little bit. Turns out she's a seamstress. I was like, oh, and she was just like, yep. She took it. She's like, I can take a look at the dress. She did. She took a look at it. It was done in a few days, and like the day or two later, that was the wedding. But like to even like build links in Jamaica, it doesn't have to be like, super super like you have to know them so well. You can just relate to people as humans. Just chat to them, treat them with respect as a human. I don't know, be friendly, say hi, hello. I mean, when you walk anyway, people are probably gonna say good morning, right? Depending on if it's morning, they're
Yeah,
gonna say good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And the more they see your face, you can just kind of be like, hey, um, I think I don't know. Can I get your number because I'm always buying meat from you? Can I get your number so I can call you? That happens a lot. And then all of a sudden you have a link. And if you don't have a link, the more you kind of make acquaintances, you kind of can just ask around. And then suddenly there's this community and people can start to get to know what you do. And then you can kind of like exchange services or exchange things. Like it doesn't have to be, I think that kind of maybe sometimes scares people, the thought of building community, but it's like, well, in Jamaica, it doesn't have to be that hard. It doesn't have to be like, you need to be everybody's best friend. You just treat people with respect. Like,
exactly,
go out in the street, go to the market and get the stuff yourself so people can see your face. Go
exactly,
to the grocer, get the stuff yourself so people can see your face. And
exactly.
then, it just makes it easier to like ask for a number, or they might come up to you and be like, hey, I see you around here a lot. How about, you call when you want something. Like, it doesn't have to be
Come
something
on.
super extensive. So I appreciate that you talked about that.
It's exactly that. I mean, going back to what I said about needing a link for everything. Um, if you can make a link with someone that your friend needs a link for, even again, it's building community. I the reason I went on my phone just now while you were talking was not to stray away from the conversation. It was because I wanted to look for something in particular that I wanted to show to the screen. And this is how my phone book, my contacts on my phone is filled with contacts like this. I will meet somebody and I'll be like, all right, this person does this, therefore that becomes their identity to me. Now, I have a older friend lady, and I would consider her a friend as well. She's like, I don't know. I don't even know how old she is. Like, you see, and she's my friend. I'm gonna guess she's like maybe like 54, 55, something like that. And she's saved in my phone as Auntie Chicken because she's an auntie, so we call them. Once you reach a certain age in Jamaica and you're a female, an auntie, and I buy chicken from her. So therefore, she's saved in my phone as Auntie Chicken. I don't even know her name. I don't know her real name, and it don't matter. And me call her and address her as your Auntie Chicken. Wagwan, and she not gonna feel no way about it. She not gonna be like, I'd appreciate it if you don't call me Auntie Chicken. She know that she my auntie and she sell me chicken. That is it. And me, she knows my name is William, to be honest. But like, she could have easily just called me like white man, red man, Irish man, Russian, German. I get a million different names. Again, I did a TikTok video about this, which people I will direct people towards that at some point later in the conversation if they want to go and check it out because it's very Jamaicanized, relatable content, and it's my experience as well. So it probably is a good follow up from this conversation. But I'm going to show you this number I have now. I wonder if it'll show up on the screen. All right, so read that. All right, so in September, I was at the barber and I met a welder named Gary. So therefore, he goes in my phone as Gary Welder, September Barber Link, because I need to know how am I going to remember him otherwise, because I have other welders. Now, do I have a lot of welding that needs to be done? Not necessarily, but I have friends who always going to need a welder. You're always going to need a plumber. You're always going to need an electrician. You're always going to need a painter. I have, like Paint Man Portland. He's a guy in Portland who paints. So therefore, that's how I save him in my phone. He does not care that I don't know his full name on his birth certificate. He doesn't care that me and him don't do barbecues together, but we're still community. And I am probably just white man to him. And probably save me, yeah, uptown youth, white man, Kingston. That's it. It is what it is.
Something, you're so right, because as you showed that and said that, I immediately remembered I have someone in my WhatsApp named Eggman. I have no idea what this man's name is.
Exactly.
But I have him as
You know that
Eggman.
if you
Why?
call
Because
him,
I
you're
get
gonna get
egg
your
from
egg.
him.
Yeah, man. That's all you need to know.
I think that's hilarious. And see, like, I think this is really good. For the people watching who want to move to Jamaica to know, like, that's how easy it can be. And like, yeah, Jamaica is very big on nicknames. So that's another
Yeah.
thing. And it's people are totally fine with it. Surprisingly, I do not have a nickname as of yet, unless I'm walking and someone kind of sees, because I'm still in process of locking my hair. So if they see my hair, they might go Empress. I'm like, all right, I know that they are
Yeah.
probably referring to me because of the locks.
Yeah.
Or if I have like twists, if they're not locks and I have twists in and I hear Empress, I'm thinking, okay, probably referring to me. Or my husband has locks and they call him Rasta. Is he a Rasta? Is he a Rastafarian? No, he is not. But he has locks, and so they just call him Rasta. Or they
Yeah.
know like he spearfishes, so they just call him Fisherman. Like,
Fisherman.
you know, and
So
then
come on.
links build from there. But that's how easy it can be. I think that's what it's important for people watching to understand. It can be quite easy to kind of build those type of links here. Just especially as I said, Jamaican culture in particular, they're just people are friendly here. Like, yeah, you might find them, and you talked about how people being rude. I say Jamaicans are the nicest, rudest people you'll meet, because sometimes I won't lie. Sometimes there are times where no, people are rude. I mean, you can get that anywhere. People are
Anyway,
rude, but they will help you. At the same time that they are rude and they're kissing their teeth and rolling their eye, they will help you at the same time.
yeah.
And it's like, well, oh, okay, thank you, but like the attitude, or like the famous example. I don't know. You go into a cook shop. Cook shops are famous for this. You go into a cook shop. The food is fantastic, but sometimes the people are rude. Sometimes
Yeah,
it's
man.
like, why do you have to talk to me like
What you
that? Why do
want?
you?
What you want? Me not have that. Nah, man. Gravy finish.
Like,
Cornbread finish. What you want from me? Jaja, yo, just hurry up, no man. Tell me what you want. Like, I feel like I don't want to buy food from you anymore, but I know that the fried chicken here is so good. Therefore, I'm gonna suck it up. But they're not being rude. They're just. I mean, honestly, you will find this more in Kingston than anywhere else. I'll be honest, because I think it's capital city mentality. It's the same you would get in London. It's the same you would get in New York. It's the same you would get in Paris. Like capital city is different. Country, like, I mean, you're kind of in the sub capital, the second capital. So maybe the mentality is a little bit. I mean, Montego Bay to me is kind of like I find it more aggressive than Kingston, to be honest. That's my experience there. I'll be like, boy, I can live without it, but I don't mind a visit every now and again. But like St. Mary, Portland, Manchester, Clarendon, like the mentality different. It's like life is slower and like people have got a little bit more time for you. Like you're not gonna get the kissing of the teeth because you're asking, yo, like women can't find a gas station or whatever. Like whereas Kingston is like everybody's in a rush. It's me, 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 me. Like I just need to get to where I'm going and do what I'm doing. But that's not to say that, like you say, people won't help you. They'll probably just make a noise where they're like a little bit annoyed that you're asking for help, but they're still gonna help you. Whereas in country, it's like, yo, them going to help you and probably give you like some soup. like, like you never ask for the soup, but them just go and give you soup anyway. Like country people different. Country is different. There's a big distinction between town and country. You know this. Like country mentality is different. I've lived in both town and country, and I am a city boy that enjoys country, but we can't live our country full time. We can't do it. Like it's too slow for me. Like I need pace. I need energy. Like country is just
yeah.
like crickets, tumbleweed, and that's wonderful sometimes when you need a break. But if you need to get things done, country and it, town.
Yeah. So I think so. I only have a couple questions left because I feel like we talked about a lot in this. So I only have a couple questions left. I
Can
think.
I just point out something as well?
Yeah.
We did have a structure of what a kind of a loose structure of what we wanted to talk about. But in typical Jamaican fashion, there's been no structure to this conversation whatsoever. It's gone like this everywhere, different directions, and that is the way it is sometimes. And so people, that's something for people watching and people listening to understand is adaptability, or let me say flexibility, is it matters more than control in Jamaica. If you're somebody that requires everything to be very controlled and very meticulous all the time, either Jamaica is not for you, or you're gonna have to adapt very, very quickly to the fact that that's not how things operate in Jamaica. So I think that there is a comparison to be drawn and some kind of metaphor of our conversation being kind of loose and kind of just being like, okay, it has structure, but at the same time, it's kind of gone like this, which is that's how my brain operates. You know that as well. Like my brain is firing in different directions, and that's Jamaica. This conversation is a very Jamaican conversation. It
Very
really
much
is.
so. Very much so. But I mean, I feel like we still have been able to stay on topic, which is pretty good, which is pretty good. But that's definitely that flexibility. It really is something,
Yeah, man.
which is I really try and prepare people on the channel who watch the channel for. Just that flexibility, or else they may end up like me the first 2 years, and by the end I was like, I'm done with Jamaica. I'm out. I don't plan to come back. I want back I'm used to my structure. I'm used to Canada. I'm used to my structure. But when I came, I wasn't prepared, right? They're doing a lot better than me right now. I wasn't prepared. I didn't watch no videos. I didn't do nothing. I'm just like, whatever.
Right.
I'll live on love and vibes and I'm good. And then I came to Jamaica and learned, actually, you cannot just live on love and vibes. You should have done some research. And you need to learn a thing or two. You need to learn Jamaica is not Canada. Jamaica is not where you are coming from.
Yeah, it's
uh,
not.
you need to
It's not
adapt.
like it's not like anywhere. Like I tell people that all the time. Like I tell people, like back in the UK, I don't have a big circle of friends in the UK, but I have a couple people who I still do stay in contact with, and I'll be telling them like an experience that I had, a story about something what happened like during the week or whatever, and I realize as I'm telling them, I'm not giving them enough context to actually understand what this story even means because the culture here is so different to anything that they would ever have experienced. You could have gone to Hong Kong, you could have gone to India, nothing is like Jamaica unless you've been to Jamaica. And I'm not talking about going to a resort and then barely leaving or maybe doing a tour or two. That's not Jamaica. You cannot come to Jamaica and go to a resort and stay on a resort for a week, 10 days, 2 weeks, and then say you come to Jamaica. You're not coming to Jamaica. That is not Jamaica. That's a tourism. You may as well be on a beach in Spain. It no make no difference. All you've done is go to a hotel. That's not Jamaica. The culture here is so vastly different that some people may get a culture shock that they might not recover from. They might not recover from it. But then also, and that's not to say it's a negative culture shock. It's just so different. It's so different. If you're not used to, if you're not used to noise, um, if you're not used to constant music, coming from 20 different directions, because on one side you might have one man and he's playing some nice chilled out vibesy reggae music, and then on the next side you got the next man in competition with him and he's turning the bass on the volume up on the dancehall music and his bare the obscene lyrics, and you're like, I actually just want to be able to concentrate on what I'm doing right now. I don't want to listen to your Bob Marley, and I don't want to listen to your Vibes Cartel. I actually don't want to listen to anything right now. I just would rather listen to the birds and the wind and the trees. Sometimes you're not gonna have that, and it will drive you mad because it will be 8 o'clock in the morning. It will be 6 o'clock in the morning. It'll be 2 o'clock in the morning. Um, that's something that you have to adapt to. That's not something that is easy to adapt to either because Jamaica can be very lawless, literally lawless with police and actual law out there on the road, but also with the sense of it might come across like somebody has a lack of consideration for you and nobody not thinking about you. They're just not. Nobody's thinking, I better not, toot my horn really loud constantly outside your house at 1 o'clock in the morning. No one's thinking that. And if you go out there and say something, they're just gonna look at you like, what do you want from me? Like cook shop mentality. It's like, what do you want? You have a problem? No, that's not to say that that's gonna happen often. But it will, things like that do happen. It's happened with me just recently. I'm like, I really wish people would not start playing loud music at 6 o'clock in the morning. But at the same time, there are occasions where I want to play loud music at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night time, and nobody not gonna say nothing to me neither. So it's the rough with the smooth because there are times where I feel like I want to delve into that slackness. I want to play my music loud. I want to have a loud phone conversation. I want to do this. I want to do that. So, Jamaica is a hypocritical and contrasting society at times because we can all moan and groan about like, yo, why the man go on so, why the gal go on so, but then we go on in the same way sometimes as well. It's the rough with the smooth. Jamaica rough and it's smooth. There's no gray area in this country. It's black, it's white, it's rough, it's smooth, it's 0 or it's 100. My personality is the same. That's why I feel like I slotted into this culture very easily. If you're someone that requires a lot of balance, maybe Jamaica, not for you. Jamaica not balanced.
Yeah, or maybe it's like, maybe it's something that they would have to learn. Maybe it's, like, when you talk about strengths and weaknesses, maybe it's just something that they have to learn. It's another aspect of, because life is different, life be life in differently in different places sometimes.
Definitely,
Just
definitely.
something that they have to learn.
Hmm.
So, okay, I think the next couple of questions I have, I think I'm going to ask them both and see how that goes because I feel like they could kind of be related. I wanted to ask, in your opinion, if someone is planning to move to Jamaica, right, and they don't really have any ties here, what is one of the first things you think they should focus on socially or to make friends? And then I also wanted to ask, what is a mistake or some mistakes you see expats make when trying to build community? Which one of them we did talk about, which is staying within their own community, and that might be the biggest one.
Absolutely, yeah.
But in your opinion, what do you think is one mistake that expats make, and also what is something that you think they should focus on to make friends or focus on socially to make friends?
All right. So outside of, it's a really difficult question for me to answer because I feel, I mean, I'm still going to answer it the best I can, but it is so difficult from my experience was so unique. And that's not to put myself on a pedestal or anything like that. It's for me to just be very honest about where I was coming from and what I landed in. My experience wasn't like what the regular expat would experience at all. So outside of the social, the parties, the corporate events, stuff like that, I would say to people that there are organizations here that are very good for building that community that I wasn't aware of until much later in my Jamaican experience, in my Jamaica life. Um, and it depends on where you're coming from, what your background is, what your interests are, etc., etc. You do have to look. It's not like in the countries that we've mentioned, Canada, the US, the UK, etc., where things are kind of given to you on a plate there. It's like, oh, here's the opportunity to do this, this, and this, even though you didn't ask me for it. You need to go and look. So there's organizations. So if you're religious, for example, we already know that the church is an amazing way to make community. Church is for a lot of people, church is mainly about that community. Um, and church is international. There's no translation needed, and Jamaica is not short of churches. Tell you that right now. Jamaica not short of churches. Um, there's a lot of different kind of churches here in Jamaica. So you've got the church as different denominations, whether it's different Catholic denominations. I mean, there are even communities of Muslims here in Jamaica, all different Hindus. This is a very multicultural society, and people don't really realize that. I think people just look at Jamaica and say, oh, Jamaica is black people, Caribbean, West Indian black people. It's not. It's a multicultural society. Lots of Asians here, Indians here, lots of white Europeans here, African Americans are here. Everybody is here. And aside from the church being somewhere that all of those different backgrounds can come together, you've got stuff like the Kiwanis Club in different parishes. Every parish has probably 5, 6, even more Kiwanis clubs. Now, Kiwanis are voluntary organizations where people will do things within a community, but also build community while they're doing it. And a lot of business is done in organizations like Kiwanis. So if you're looking to do business when you come here, if you're a solo entrepreneur, for example, you'd be doing yourself a great justice by involving yourself in a community like Kiwanis Club of, Kingston or Montego Bay, wherever it is, because you're going to make business connections within that community that you would not be making if you weren't in that community to begin with. And you're going to thank yourself for doing that. Now, it's something that I've been looking to get involved in, but it is a commitment. It's not something you can do lightly. It's not something you can say, yeah, man, I just go there like once a month. You're going to 4 or 5 meetings a week. That's just the way it is. They like that commitment, but it pays off. Based on what I know, again, it's something I've been looking to do, but I don't know if I'm ready for that commitment yet. I don't know. It's just one of those things. But there are organizations in Jamaica, voluntary organizations, charity organizations. Depending on what your passion is, you might be passionate about animals, for example. So you've got the JSPCA. If you want to go and volunteer taking care of the cats and the dogs and the rabbits or whatever, then go and do that. Make your community that way. But you're not gonna see these kind of things advertised on Facebook or in a newspaper or on your Instagram feed. You're just not. You're gonna have to go and look for them. You're gonna have to ask people about them. And 99 times out of 100, people are gonna look at you funny and say, "What do you mean? Volunteer for what? JSP? No, man, I don't know nobody into that." So you're gonna get that kind of you're gonna be like, "What? Why is that lady so rude? She doesn't know the answer to your question. She's not being rude. She literally does not know the answer to your question. And she's wondering, why do you even want to know this?" That's all it is. But then you're going to get that one answer where it gives you that link to the JSPCA, for example. And that is where your whole journey with that can begin. And that's just one outlet. As I say, the main thing is, I think it's a case of actively going and looking. In Jamaica, there are not a lot of things that are automatic. A lot of things in Jamaica are manual. You have to be willing to put the work in. It's not going to be handed to you. This ain't a chicken nuggets country. It's not like little bite-sized popcorn chicken mentality. This is your food, that's all, and you deal with it and you eat. And we like bones in this country. We like bony chicken. We like the bony part. We don't deal with no chicken breast and no nuggets. That's not how we are. I'm making food analogies, but if you understand, you get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that's one thing. I think that's one of the things that people can come here and build community in that way. You asked also about going back to a mistake that people make. Outside of staying in that expat bubble. I think that's the main thing is it's to build on that response, to add to that response. I think you need to involve yourself as much in the different aspects of Jamaican society as you can. So go to an event that you wouldn't normally go to. If you're into arts and crafts, then sure, go to an arts and crafts event, and there are plenty of them. There are plenty of those kind of events. Again, you got to go look for them. But go to a party that normally you would look at the flyer and be like, "That's not my speed at all." Go to it. Go and see what it's about. Because I guarantee you, it's not going to be like anything you've ever experienced in your own country. You just don't know. And you don't know who you're going to meet there either. And again, with the class divide in Jamaica, there is an obvious class divide here. And as an expat, you are going to automatically be put into a social class by Jamaicans looking at you from the outside. So it's up to you. The onus is on you to remove that tag. Remove the tag that Jamaicans are going to put on you. They're going to label you as foreign, rich, whatever it is. Take yourself out of that. And rather than be upset by it and feel like it's an injustice or you're a victim of Jamaican classism, just realize that that's the way it is. So it's about acceptance, and it's about also actively proving that not to be the case. Prove them wrong, but not in an aggressive, vengeful kind of way, in a way where it actually benefits you to prove them wrong. So put yourself in a social situation which you wouldn't normally put yourself in, because you just never know who you might meet. You never know what you might enjoy. I never really like felt like I loved dancehall music until I came to Jamaica. And then like I remember being at various parties where I was like, all right, so this is a little more uncomfortable than I'm used to, but let's see what happens. And then years later, I am more than comfortable in those situations now. In fact, that is my comfort zone. My comfort zone is not what it was. It's the complete opposite to where it was when I first came to Jamaica. Even though, like I say, I'm from a very working class background, I wouldn't say that I was comfortable in what would be perceived by some people as dangerous situations. Now, they're not dangerous. They're just, again, Jamaica is pantomime. It might look dangerous, but it's not real danger. It's not real danger.
It's just
Jamaica,
different.
Jamaica can be very visually misleading at times, but you're always safe. I really honestly feel like Jamaica is one of the safest countries you can come to. I truly do believe that, and I'm passionate about that when I talk to foreigners as well, because as we talked about right at the beginning, the misconceptions of these travel advisories to tourists and don't go here, don't go there. Jamaica is safer than England. I'm saying that to you right now. It's safer than the US. I'm saying it right now. And I'm not saying it from my experience. I'm saying it's a fact. It's safer than those countries. Nobody not doing random crime in Jamaica. Jamaica crime is not random. It's if you are a criminal, Misha, if I am a criminal, William, and I'm going to look to do crime, then crime will go catch me back. It
Hmm.
will go catch me. It will. Crime is going to reach you if you're involved in crime. Now, that's not to say that petty crime doesn't exist. Um, like anywhere, people will steal phones, break-ins happen, things like that. Not very often. I barely hear about it, but like, cars get stolen, phones get stolen, like anywhere. It's not common. It's just not common. But like in the UK, like I've experienced crime in the UK that is absolutely terrifying to me. That is so far removed from anything in Jamaica is unbelievable. And people think that I come from this amazing first world country where like only London exists. Like to Jamaicans is like, I come from London. I'm like, bro, I've been to London like 3 times in my life. Like I couldn't even tell you like different areas of London. Like I don't know London. England is not London. London is in England, but London is not a country. But like crime here is just not random. In the same way that it is in those countries. You're safe here. You can walk around at nighttime. Sure, don't go to like the middle of like a ghetto where there's currently a gang war happening at 2 o'clock in the morning. Like again, common sense. Use your common sense and be vigilant, like anywhere. But like walking around anywhere, I'm happy to walk anywhere around Kingston. I'm happy to walk anywhere around anywhere in this country and feel all right with it. And you should be to know, it's there are conditions, obviously. There are conditions to that. But for the most part, I would say that Jamaicans are not looking for trouble like people in other countries are. So to take this back, to circle back now to exposing yourself to situations that you might deem uncomfortable normally, don't be afraid to do that. That's the one single biggest piece of advice I could give to anybody coming here and wants to make it permanent. Expose yourself, put yourself out there, and don't be afraid to. Don't be afraid to do anything in Jamaica. That's the most important thing to me. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there, to expose yourself to different sections of society, to different experiences, because Jamaica is safe. It is safe.
Yeah, and I mean sometimes you may not even to need to just to the people who are watching. Sometimes you might not even need to when it comes to exposing yourself to different experiences, you might not even need to do it alone because someone might just pull you along. Like, you might just, like, if you're an introvert, I mean, it commonly happens, I think, with introverts where they are an introvert and, like, an extrovert just happens to see them and they're like, I like you. And then it's just like,
That's true.
okay, you're my handbag now. We're gonna go here, we're gonna go there, and the introvert's kind of like, okay, like that happens to me quite a bit. I don't mind. But it's just, that's also sometimes how I've made friends. I had a friend who I lived in like kind of an apartment situation. She lived above me. And she's like, hey, let's just like go do this or go do that. And I'm just like, okay. Like I didn't, I don't think I talked too much. I think she did most of that. I was quite fine with that. But like, she would take me, even me walking the block, I wouldn't have to do that on my own. I could, um, she would take me with her and we would just like walk down the street together and just, and she'd point out this and that to me. Even that to me was a different experience because it's not like I'm a person who doesn't really leave my house. So it's not like, that was different to me. That was a different experience and I quite enjoyed it, but she kind of pulled me. She kind of was like, hey, I like you. Yoink, let's go. So sometimes you might not even, like, in terms of people watching, you might not even need to, you probably won't be alone. Or if you go there alone, you're probably going to make friends quite quickly. Someone's going
Yeah.
to see you alone and they're going to be like, hey, you kind of look like why don't you come hang with us? Come hang with us. Let's have a
No,
drink. Let's have a chat.
that's a good point. That's a good point. That's a really good point because that's happened to me before, and I don't necessarily need that because I'm very I've always been a bit of a lone wolf, that's what people refer to me as. I don't particularly like that tag, to be honest. I mean, but that's how people see me. I'm pretty independent, so I'm comfortable to go to places by myself. I'm the kind of guy that will go to the movie theater by myself. I'll go to a restaurant by myself. That's just me. I'm quite happy in my own company. But that being said, I love the company of other people too, But if you are somebody who is a little bit more introverted, Jamaica will definitely have a way of figuratively and literally dragging you out of the house and putting you in a situation where, like what you just described, Jamaicans are very welcoming people generally. Like, if you are walking down the street and you see, a bunch of people, they're drinking, they're chatting, they're playing dominoes, whatever it is they're doing, and you're walking past, you've never seen them in your life, they've never seen you. You can just stop and stand there, and they will invite you to play and to drink and to do whatever. And you could end up making like good friends with them forever, like just based on that one interaction. Like that just happens all the time. Like it's that sense of community is real. They're not gonna be like, "Yo, why are you standing there? Like, what do you want? Like, you need something?" Like you're standing there looking at it. Like, they're not gonna do that. They're gonna be like, "Okay, do you want to play?" Like, yeah, red stripe, right? Yes, so like them going order your drink. That's how it is. That's how it is. So yeah, you don't. I think I can only give my personal experience as an extrovert, as as I say, as someone that don't mind throwing myself into social situations. Um, but if you are a little bit more introverted, like yourself, and there are going to be people that are more introverted than you, even who come here, there is somebody who is going to drag you out of the house. There is, and that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. It really is. Um, okay, so I think this interview was great. I think people are going to get so much from this. So I'd like to give you an opportunity to shout out yourself. I know you mentioned you have a TikTok, but like I want to give you an opportunity. Well, two things. One, if there's anything that you wanted to mention that we hadn't discussed, although I feel
Mhm.
like we got through quite a bit, but if there's anything that you had wanted to mention that you think is important that you didn't get to discuss, as well as I did want to give you an opportunity to shout out yourself, like your TikTok, your social media, business, anything.
All right, no, I appreciate that. I think I would like to just in conclusion to try and put like a little bit more structure just for my own personal mental well-being because like I say like I can be very structured sometimes, other times I can be incredibly chaotic. So just to put in conclusion, I think come to Jamaica prepared, don't come to Jamaica afraid. So come prepared and come with confidence. um, Observe things and listen a lot more than you speak to begin with, and then you can start getting loud. You can start getting loud after that. That's the way I was. I was being very observant before I was being opinionated, and then eventually that grew. Um, don't make plans ever. Don't make plans. No, what I mean by that is don't make plans. To say, all right, so at 9 o'clock I'm going to do this, at 11 o'clock I'm going to do that. Jamaica has no concept of time whatsoever. Um, your plan, all that's going to happen is if you make plans, you're going to be annoyed. So don't make plans, make relationships. That's that's what I would say in conclusion to that. And understand, I think that Jamaica is not an escape. It's more of a trade-off. It's more of a trade-off than anything else. You're not going to come here and everything's going to be a beautiful, tropical, peaceful vacation for life, because it's not. It's a trade-off. Like I say, it's like this. Jamaica is like this. One minute it's driving you mad. The next minute you're falling in love with it again. Um, it's an interesting relationship. I actually have an ex who described Jamaica as beautiful chaos, and I was like, you know what? That's a pretty good description. It's a beautiful chaos for real. It really is. As for me, I wanted to shout out. Well, yeah, I mean, I can shout out my social media, Instagram and TikTok, the Ghetto Gentleman. So that's literally the Ghetto Gentleman. So you can just search those two things on Instagram and TikTok. Follow me, check out my videos. My Instagram is a little bit quieter than my TikTok, I'll be honest. But my TikTok has some interesting content on there for people that want to maybe hear a little bit more about some of the things I've touched on, but delivered in a more comedic kind of way. It's short form content. There's nothing on there that's like 20 minutes long or anything like that. It's all short form content. As for me, with my brand right now, I have a brand called Water, WTR Water. That is a fashion brand. It's a Christian faith-based brand. We are at wearwater.com. That's WEARWTR.com. Go check out the products. Literally, 3 designs have just dropped, and they're very limited edition. And they're beautiful, and everybody should buy them because, I mean, yo, nice. Trust me, quality.
Yes. Yes. Well, thank you so much. I feel like this was so informative. I really think people are going to get a lot from this, especially that last line about the beautiful chaos and the trade-offs, because I've had many moments. I created a series of a whole 5 videos on my frustrations in Jamaica. I could have gone longer, but I said I think I'll cap it at 5. And then there were some more. There were some more after that, especially after the hurricane. But
Awesome.
like there have been instances. There was one instance I talked about in one of those videos where like our car got towed, and that was stupid. The whole situation was stupid, and as we were walking to get it untowed, a bird pooped on my head, like in my glasses, everything. And I was so upset, got myself cleaned up, but I had a screw face the entire time. But like, if I kind of talk about the story, people laugh. Or like I'm going somewhere and people see my screw face, I tell them what happened, and they're kind of like, well, you have to take good with the bad, and this and that. And they were so, like, I was so pissed off, but these people were so kind, and they were really trying to make me feel better, even though I was going through such a tough situation, and then a bird literally pooped on me. Like on my face. It couldn't even just be on my shoulder, on my face. And it's like instances like that. I've never had that happen to me in Canada ever. But it's instances like that where I'm like, this made me, on top of the foolishness I just went through, then how kind people were. I'm just like, I go through foolishness here sometimes, and then I just have to take a deep breath,
Yeah.
look around at nature, look around, remind myself, this is not Canada. I mean, I can clearly experience that this is not Canada, which is what is so frustrating. But then remind myself, no, but this is not Canada.
Right.
This is Jamaica. And,
Right.
you know, Just, I don't know, go sip some coconut water or something, and then I just, then it goes away, or I just smell the air and it literally just melts away the whatever I had going on. So you're right. You have to take the good with the bad. Beautiful
Yeah.
chaos. Um, so, but thank you so,
Overstimulated
yeah.
at times. Well, sorry, I wanted to say that about it as well. If you're if you're someone that is easily overstimulated, then you have to understand that Jamaica is a very overstimulating place. There's always a lot happening, even in the quiet. Um, there's always something going on. There's always a conversation. There's always something. Jamaica is a million things at once around you, um, which is why it's important to sometimes have beach days and river days where you just go and dip in the water and all our mates, as we say here in Jamaica, you have all our mates. Just sit down and because
Relax.
it's a lot. It's a
Yeah.
lot. But it's as I say, the chaos is beautiful, um, and it's it's a rewarding place if you allow it to be. Um, you have to be open to Jamaica for Jamaica to be open to you. If you're not open to it, it probably gonna chew you up and not even spit out the bones. It's not for everyone. It's not. Going back to what I said at the beginning, it's not for the faint-hearted. You and I are not here right now to try and paint a picture of Jamaica that is, purely beautiful and innocent and Dr. birds and palm trees and white sands. It's all of those things, but a lot of rough with the smooth as well. So I hope that this has enlightened some people. I hope that it's educating people. I hope it's leaving people hungry for more. I hope it leads people to come back to this channel more and more. And I hope it leads people to come here and sample Jamaica away from a resort before they come here and take the plunge into, regular everyday Jamaican life. Come here, enjoy Kingston, enjoy the country, take yourself away from the resort, experience real Jamaica. Um, I have a link for everything, as I mentioned before. So I have a link to tour guides who will take you on real tours in Jamaica and take you on a bus, take you in a taxi, not doing the regular tourist things, seeing, how Jamaicans live, and getting a little taste of, a sample dish of the main course before you come here, if you do decide to come here and make this your permanent residence. Um, be patient with Jamaica, be patient with yourself. Patience is another thing. I don't think we've mentioned that enough in this. I don't think we mentioned it at all until now. Patience is key in this country. Patience. You have to have patience. And if you don't, you gotta learn to have patience. Because I've been impatient in my life, and Jamaica's taught me to be very patient. You know, I'm not perfect, but there are times where I just have to remind myself, hold on, William, 1 second, bro, and we're back.
Yep.
And then you conduct your business.
Yep. Yep. So, all right. So that's it. So thank you so much.
You man, you're welcome. Thank you too.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so that is it from me today. I hope that you found this interview informative and helpful. I think we both we both definitely hope that you found this interview informative and helpful. If you did, do let us know in the comments. As you know, I will always be in the comments taking a look at them, and William for sure will be in the comments as well. So if you did find this helpful, do let us know. Also click that like button to let us know as well. And it also lets the YouTube algorithm know that you like this type of content as well. And if you're interested in seeing more of like William's stuff, the links will be in the description as well, and in the pinned comment. But I would also love to know from you, like, yeah, whether you like this interview, but also like, are there any questions that you have? I feel like we covered quite a bit in the interview. about community in Jamaica, but just, if there are any other questions that you have, because who knows, maybe we'll do a part 2 or something, definitely leave that in the comments. Or if you think that there's something that we missed, or perhaps there are other ways that people can create community in Jamaica, especially as an expat, as someone who's from the outside and coming in, maybe you have some ideas of ways that people can create community in Jamaica. And if you do, definitely leave that in the comments as well, because that'll be helpful for everyone, especially the others who are watching this channel. And don't forget to leave without grabbing your freebies. Those will be linked in the description. Might be linked in the pinned comment, but certainly will be linked in the description for you, as well as my Moving to Jamaica Starter Guide. So if you are planning to move to Jamaica, I would recommend getting the Moving to Jamaica Starter Guide. It's going to give you a lot of information. I want to say it's like robust. Like it's robust enough to give you information about helping you get started, about moving to Jamaica. But also, it's a starter guide, but it's a really good starter guide. I've gotten good feedback on it. So if you are planning to move to Jamaica and you haven't gotten the Moving to Jamaica Starter Guide yet, do feel free to get that. In the meantime, I would also invite you to join my newsletter, join my mailing list. It's completely free, but I give information on there about I give some tips and stuff about moving to Jamaica, and I definitely give notifications about what's coming up next, or if there's any special offers that maybe I don't talk about on my channel. If there's any special offers that I think would be helpful, if there's any information that I think would be helpful. And when I'm planning certain videos as well, I also give an update in that newsletter as well. So if that's something that you're interested in, again, it's completely free to join. The link for that will be in the description and in the pinned comment. So yeah. And if you have any suggestions of topics, of things that you want to see, because this is the reason I do these videos, right, is because I receive suggestions from you. Right, so if there's any other suggestions for videos that you would like to see, definitely leave that in the comments, or you can join the newsletter and just reply to an email, and then I will take that. So there is more in the pipeline. If you like this type of content, do subscribe if you haven't already, so that you don't miss what's coming next. But in the meantime, I really appreciate you being here. William also really appreciates you taking the time to watch this interview, and we'll see you in the next one.